exactly when this was. I'm pretty sure it was around March of 2018. I was 12 years old and in 7th grade. I often listened to and read scary stories online about things like sleep paralysis, but I never thought it would happen to me. Before I woke up, I was having a strange dream. I was playing Counter-Strike, but it felt like I wasn't playing, and it was real. I was shooting some targets and then I blacked out for a second. I woke up on the main road that goes into my neighborhood and saw that the road was gone. The houses on my street were very small too, like 2-story box houses. There were elderly people standing in front of the houses all reading newspapers, and the sign at the front of my neighborhood only read Brook G, with the rest crumbling off. I then appeared at my morning bus stop for school looking at my phone. Everything was normal until a bush, that normally isn't there, screamed at me. I remember clearly feeling as though this was normal, so I screamed back. We went back and forth until I woke up with this scream echoing in my ears. I was in my bed looking against the wall, unable to move. I hadn't realized that I was experiencing sleep paralysis, but I was still freaked out by that screaming to fall back asleep. I lie there not hearing anything for about 5 minutes. I then heard what sounded like heavy boots hitting the ground outside of my living room, coming towards my bedroom area. Just so you know, outside of my bedroom there is a hallway. On the left is a bathroom, at the end is my parents' room, and at the end on the right is a door that goes to my living room. The footsteps grew closer, coming to the hallway and then to my parents' room. At that moment, I remember my dad was out of town on a business trip, so it was just me, my mom, and my 7-year-old brother. I heard the walking start up again and come towards my room. The door opened, and whatever was out there came in, walked to the side of my bed, and stared at me. I closed my eyes and began to pray. I'm not really religious, but it's the only thing that I can think to do. After what felt like hours, I tried to turn over to look to see if anyone was there. I rolled over with my eyes still closed to appear to anyone that was there that I'm asleep. I opened my eyes and began to squint. The coast was clear. I crawled out of my bed slowly and looked at the clock. It read 4:14 a.m. Dang it, I got school tomorrow, I thought. I tiptoed over to my door and grabbed a decorative oar that my mom had put on the wall in my room. I walked out into the hallway. The light in our living room was on, and the door was open with the light on, which wasn't normal, especially when my dad was out of town. I checked the bathroom and peeked around the corner of the door. Nobody, so I made a silent sprint into my mom's room, putting the oar down on the floor. I shake her awake, quietly whispering her name. Mom, I think there's someone in the house. I heard walking around outside my room and I began to tear up, realizing this all may have been for nothing and all in my head. I woke up my mom for nothing. It's alright, my name. We can go check the house real quick. I grabbed the oar and we went to go check the house with my mother. There was nobody in our house, so I went back to bed, relieved that we were safe and that none of that was real. I haven't had a sleep paralysis experience since, and am glad it wasn't worse. This story seems like nothing compared to some of the other stories about it that I've heard, but I hope you enjoy reading it. This happened many years ago, but I thought I would share. Considering Reddit removed my story from 3 different communities, I have never figured out where to post it, so I thought I would share with you, even though your YouTube channel is new. Everyone's got to start somewhere though, right? My name is Marcus, I'm a 29-year-old male, and I live up north in Canada. Before I start, I want to preface that I am not a psychic, do not consider myself a psychic, and this has only happened once in my life. I was 15 and was in the stage where I could not stand my parents. I mean, everything they did made me mad. Not sure why, but now I can't get enough of them. We are really close. On to the story. I went to bed one night and had this dream that my dad was at a restaurant with this red-headed woman. I couldn't see her face for some reason, but I could see my dad's. It was the realest dream I had ever had and have had since. It was like watching TV, but I was the camera and saw everything. My dad then paid for their meal and drinks and asked this woman if she wanted to go back to his room, and she responded with yes. They go up to his room and the door closes right in my, I guess you'd call it, dream face. I stood outside of the door hearing everything. I then ran into a friend from school out of nowhere. He was just walking down the hall in the hotel. "Hey, did you finally catch them?" he asked. Dream me then said, "Yeah, I can't wait to tell Mom." My dream dad then came out and, in no shock at all, asked if we could be quiet. I woke up the next morning completely baffled. I had to sit at the end of the bed for like 10 minutes trying to get my thoughts together. Although I woke up knowing it was a dream and knowing it couldn't possibly be true, I gave my dad the cold shoulder all day and couldn't get the dream out of my head. One thing I couldn't quit thinking about was why my friend that was in my dream asked me if I caught them yet, like I had been waiting to catch them or something. I had never even suspected my dad of having an affair on my mom. Well, I soon found out. I told Mason about the dream. He was the one that was in it and asked if I caught them yet. The reason I asked is because I was wondering if it was possible if he maybe had the same dream as I did. I was telling him about the story and he seemed a little shocked and then said that he'd had a dream similar to mine, but it was just a dream. He also asked if I really thought it would come true, and I told him I didn't know. As the weeks wore on, I forgot about the dream. Fast forward about a year and a half. I'm 16 at the time and am in a relationship with a girl I'd known since middle school. Her and I had gotten some burgers and pop and just sat in the car in front of her house when my mom texts me asking if I've seen my dad. I said no and knew something was wrong. See, years earlier, before I was born, my dad had an affair with my mom's sister, and one of the rules for her taking him back is that he is not allowed to leave the house without telling her where he's going. This was a vice versa deal. Another rule was that he has to call if he's going to be late. I know these are ridiculous rules, but he followed them for 15 years. I drove home after Misty, my then girlfriend, got out. When I got home, my mom was at the kitchen table crying. I asked her what was wrong, and she responded with, "He left me." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She said, "I looked in his dresser after I texted you. It was empty, and it had a note in it saying he was leaving me and that he can't stand me anymore." She handed me the note, and it was bad. Anyway, my mom had gotten a job at a hotel a couple of months after my dad left, and I even got hired on as a janitor. I know, but I needed the money. One night I was cleaning one of the hallways outside of the rooms and saw my dad coming my way. He hadn't seen me yet, but he was with a tall redhead, and I quickly turned around. When I heard the door shut, I leaned back on the wall and slid down in shock. I knew Dad had been having an affair and knew that is why he left Mom. He didn't tell me and I didn't have proof of it. I just knew. Something told me. And then to see my dream come true right in front of my very eyes, it was so eerie and scary. Mom and Dad eventually were divorced. My mom is happier now and has had a new husband for several years now. He makes her so happy. He is a really nice guy. I haven't forgiven my dad yet and don't know if I ever will. We aren't close at all. Put it this way, it is May 30th, 2024, and I haven't talked to my dad since Thanksgiving of 2018 at all. I only know he's still alive because my sisters haven't said anything. Anyway, I have been married for 6 years, and my life goal is not to be my dad. My newborn son, my first child, was born 2 weeks ago, and that is what made me write this story. Thank you for sharing.